And so the thing is, first of all, I knew for sure I would talk about him on the show since last week. Although I didn't think it would be a full segment. I thought maybe I'd do something a bit unprecedented, just talk about it for a second right at the beginning to kind of close the circle. But at this point, with all that's gone on, some of which you might be aware of, I figured, you know what, I should talk about this. This is funny enough to talk about on the show. And you know what, there were a few segments I was looking at for what to do for this show today, if I'm just going to be honest. And this, to me, was like, you know what, this is good enough. We're still going to talk about it. So the biggest thing that happened is Friday, if I'm not mistaken, the day after I did the program, George Santos was expelled from Congress as predicted by a 311 to 114 vote. Now, a few things about this. First of all, like I said, just to recap my position, from what it seems, and again, I don't want to put anything out about him that's not true, but I mean, he seems like he lies about a lot of stuff. But I will say that I was against the vote to expel him this time just because it's already happened twice, and I just figured, you know, he only has a year left in his term, not even that anymore, or at least till the next election, and he's already said he won't be seeking a second term. Just whatever, let the time run out on him and just let him go. Or if he does something else, expel him. However, that doesn't make me necessarily say, you know what, that's cool what he's been up to. You know, I love the guy or anything, but that was just my position on it. But anyway, despite that, I also found out about with the vote itself. I also said on the program that I thought it would take a miracle for him to stay in office. And well, I mean, yeah, in some ways, yeah, he was voted out, so clearly it would have. I feel like had I known this information, I would have guessed against that, which is that I believe the reason he wasn't voted out before is you needed a 2/3 majority vote to remove him, which I guess I shouldn't be surprised by, considering the fact that for impeaching impeaching the president, you need a 2/3 vote in the Senate. So I guess I really shouldn't even be surprised by that. But I was surprised partially because Kevin McCarthy was removed with just a simple majority from the speaker position. I don't know, maybe because he wasn't removed from the House itself. Maybe that's why it only took a majority to vote him out. But whatever. So with that, I would have guessed that he would have stayed in, and that no, this vote will fail too. But I was wrong. I was wrong on that. So on one hand, another thing about the vote is I was kind of shocked that such a bipartisan voice to remove him. I mean, the votes to remove him more than doubled the votes for him to stay. So in this day and age, with politics being so insanely divided, I was kind of shocked that a vote by that large a margin could happen. But at the same time, it was relatively close for a 2/3 vote because the thing is, if Santos just picked up about 20 more votes from the Republicans or even the Democrats, because the Democrats weren't, I don't even think were unanimous in voting for him. I mean, the vast majority voted to remove him, but I don't even think I think there were a few who didn't. So if only, I think it was 20 people voted for him to stay, that's about all he would need for a simple majority. If 20 more people voted for him to stay, he would still be there. So it makes me think, for some people, what more could he have allegedly important, what more could have he allegedly done to just get a full 435 members to vote for him to be removed? And now that sounds like a really weird position for me to take, that I said I was against voting for him to be removed, yet now I'm saying that, well, what more should he have done for him to get removed? Well, I doubt that anybody who voted for him to stay voted for the reasons that I gave for why I thought the vote shouldn't be held, but moving on. So I was wondering from that point, what is he going to do? What is George Santos's next move? And I kind of predicted we just wouldn't hear from him again. But I realize now that was a bit of a stupid position because he's known. I mean, he's made it clear before he believed it was very much the likelihood he would be removed. So he has had time to prepare. And what he's done now is he's on Cameo. According to the New York Times, he's charging up to $350 as of late afternoon Tuesday, and starting at $75 on Monday. So yeah, he's on Cameo now, the website where celebrities looking for a quick paycheck and I guess former members of government go to cash in. And the thing is, if he's gone up to $350, at first I thought, wow, that means just no one's buying and he's jacking up the prices. But no, people apparently they think people have been buying, and he's just increased the price because he knows it's apparently a valuable service. So, well, I guess people are buying, and I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm not really surprised considering the fact that who wouldn't want a cameo from George Santos? Because here's the thing, he covers all bases. Some people might think, well, it's just Republicans who would want a cameo from him. No, I mean, I think he covers all bases because there's Republicans who genuinely support him, and there aren't all just Republicans. There are some independents and Democrats. There's a Democrat who supports him. So they want a cameo from him legitimately because they just want his acknowledgement. And then there are Democrats and independents who are kind of making fun of him. We're going to buy a Cameo because it's a cameo from George Santos. That's just funny. Come on. So really, it covers all bases. It was. I got to give him credit. It was a genius move. I never would have thought of it. I mean, I'm stupid though, so who cares what I think on this? But a genius play from George Santos. And the other thing about it is he's making jokes about his situation on Cameo. One Cameo that I saw, the recipient, he was telling them that they should treat themselves to something this holiday season, and he said, quote, a subscription to OnlyFans as a suggestion. Come on, that's awesome. I mean, how can you not like that? I mean, and I thought it was funny that every single Cameo I saw of him, he made some sort of reference to what's been going on with him. Now, I don't have them all written down. I just had that one, but if I remember correctly, he made a cameo where someone was complaining about their job or something. And by the way, we're going to get completely into this later, but I wouldn't rule out the possibility that that was someone who was kind of egging him on to do this, where he said something to the effect of, well, work sucks sometimes. I'm sure you were aware of what happened to me last Friday. You think that was fun? Or something like that. And every single cameo that I've seen of him, and I'm not saying, I mean, if he can justify jacking up the price to $350, clearly the vast majority of cameos he's done, first of all, probably aren't released on the internet, and second of all, I haven't seen. So I just think that's, I got to give him some credit. I feel like I'm giving too much credit to people who have kind of implied I'm not a fan of, but come on, I mean, I have to give him some credit for that. That's great marketing on his part. So the thing is, what I was going to say was he's kind of getting equally trolled about it in a way. So like I said, I don't know all the cameos, but I have to imagine there are a lot of people who maybe they don't outwardly hate George Santos. I mean, I don't outwardly hate George Santos, but people who aren't really fans of him, but like kind of the joke value, who buy things from him as a joke. Either people who buy them just for the acknowledgement that, wow, I got a cameo from George Santos, or people who make him say things that are like jokes or memes or whatever. And one notable example is Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania tweeted, quote, I approached a seasoned expert on the matter to give Bobby from Jersey some advice. And now, for those who aren't following this situation, this was, I believe, a few months ago when this started, so who could blame you? This is a reference to Senator Bob Menendez from New Jersey, who was indicted on federal corruption charges. And Fetterman is not really a big fan. I believe there's sort of a beef with Fetterman and Menendez. And so Fetterman bought this kind of as a dunk on both of them, I guess. And so Santos either fell for it or he knew it was kind of a joke and was playing along. I doubt John Fetterman put his real name on the Cameo request. I've never used Cameo, so I don't know exactly. Do you have to disclose your name or certain things? I mean, clearly your financial information if it's a service where you buy things. So I'm not obviously that, but I doubt that George Santos has John Fetterman's credit card number on file or something. So it's not like a big shock that he wouldn't recognize him from that. But I'm assuming that he fell for it, quite frankly. And I'm not trying to make a judgment on his, intelligence, I guess. I guess I'm not. But I assume he fell for it just based on the fact that I think he would either not take it if he knew who it was from, or maybe kind of point it out in the cameo, which he didn't do. His cameo was basically just, I didn't write it down what it was, but it was to the effect of, I've been through some hard times myself, Bobby from Jersey, and let me tell you, it's not fun. So again, that's, on one hand, I kind of think that's funny that he makes such light of a situation, but on the other hand, it's okay. You've kind of run that joke into the ground a little bit, George. Might want to pull back a bit. So I thought that was, it's kind of interesting that he makes reference to it in this kind of, wink, wink, nudge, nudge way. Every cameo that I've seen of him, and I was thinking, maybe this is a chapter on your life you don't want to look back on much. It's not exactly. I mean, I don't know if he's going to hold a job as prestigious as Congressman from New York again. I mean, granted, I said before, 2026, there's a governor race coming up. Maybe it'll be an open seat. I'm not sure if the governor of New York's running for another term after this. I know there's no term limits there, but whether it's open or not, it doesn't matter to you. You're a Republican. You can run against them. Don't rule out politics, man. I mean, I'm not saying I want to see a George Santos political comeback, but I mean, can you deny the entertainment? I mean, for someone in my position where I talk about him all the time, it would be great for me. I mean, if the more involvement in politics for George Santos, the better. I mean, I can't deny. I mean, I love this stuff, but ultimately, I mean, I'm glad that he's still around. I'm glad we can still see him somewhere. I was worried that when this whole thing happened, we lost poor George forever. I was worried he was just going to be a footnote in history about he was the 6th congressman to be expelled, which I guess I didn't really dwell on much there. But yeah, he was the 6th congressman in history to be expelled. But I'm glad he's still around. And let me tell you, I mean, I'm not a fan of the guy in terms of unironically, but I would buy a cameo from him 100%. I mean, I was thinking maybe it'd be funny to buy a cameo from him for the show and play it, but the thing is, I don't really. Maybe when it was $75, maybe when it was 300, when he made it 350. I mean, George, come on. I mean, let's maybe a bit much. I mean, I know like Republicans go on about like inflation and stuff, but George, I mean, I don't think the working man can't really afford your cameos all the time. We have to. Maybe it's like a Christmas gift idea. If you save up for Christmas and buy that person in your life who has not said what they want and maybe I don't know is planning to vote for Trump in the election, then a cameo from George Santos is the perfect. And why even stop at that? It's the perfect gift for anyone who just hasn't made clear what they want. Even if they have made clear what they want, a George Santos cameo, it's cheaper than a car. So I don't know. I think that would be the perfect Christmas gift this year. And we're coming up, so keep that in mind. And the thing is, another thing, some people imply, oh, he's on Cameo now, it's rock bottom for him, which a lot of people, I think it's kind of the joke that if you're a celebrity on Cameo that this is rock bottom for you, because they don't have what like Taylor Swift or I don't know, Chris Pratt on Cameo. I mean, unless I'm mistaken. So it's mostly celebrities who I think you might not have thought about as much if you hadn't seen they were on Cameo, and maybe not thought about in a while. But no, in fact, if anything, I mean, this might be the new high for him. I mean, because again, according to the New York Times, Sarah Palin, who's another disgraced former politician, apparently earned $211,529 in 2021 from Cameo. And I don't know exactly what the salary of a congressman is, but I'm like 90% sure it's more than that. I don't even know if the salary of a senator is that much. I mean, why do you think they get in? I mean, they say they get in for money. It's not always for money from their paycheck. It's money from other places. But, I think that this isn't even rock bottom for him. He's killing it if he's making even that half that much. I mean, that's a good living, How can you complain that much about that? That's not rock bottom. Definitely not rock bottom for him. So, I mean, he's going out there and he's earning, he's earning money fast. And the thing is, also according to The Guardian, Santos's debut, quote, has reportedly been one of the strongest debuts for a celebrity on Cameo. So, yeah, I mean, this is like getting hilarious to me that George Santos, I mean, again, Cameo is not for the people who are, making the front pages of the entertainment columns. But the thing is that George Santos being one of the top people on Cameo, I mean, he must be like making bank on this. I can't even imagine. And I'm sure he's not a millionaire from this, but I mean, this is a better deal than he had in Congress. I mean, you don't even have to get out of your house to make cameos. You just have to be yourself. And I don't even mean you have to act like yourself. Just literally by being George Santos and being on Cameo, he is making a killing at it. I mean, it's hard to even, I mean, on one hand, it's hard to even get mad at him that it's just kind of hilarious that George Santos, of all people, is the king of Cameo right now. I mean, I don't know if it's the title that he wants to take or that he wants to be known as, but that is what he is. He's killing it on Cameo right now. And so that's on one hand, that's kind of it's funny. I don't know if it's a happy story, but that's funny. And then at the same time, I mean, it's a bit sad that I am not completely well versed on what legal problems he's in right now. Quite frankly, I mean, I don't think getting expelled solves his problems. I think he still has a lot he's dealing with, and I'm sure whatever his legal bills are going to cost a lot of money. It's probably going to take a big chunk out of that Cameo change. So I don't know if I can say this completely, but it's a bit sad that he resigns from Congress due to unanimously accepted ethics charges, or not unanimously, but bipartisanly accepted corruption charges or whatever they. I don't want to say exactly what they were because I could be wrong. And I don't even think they were corruption charges, but charges of immoral conduct, whatever you want to call it. And now he's on Cameo, and he's doing. He must be. I'm sure he's doing better than ever. I mean, if this is seriously one of the strongest debuts for a celebrity on Cameo, I mean, he must be doing great on there. So it's something where maybe it's a bit sad. This is how it ends, or at least ends in the public eye. I really doubt he's going to be in the public eye a lot more, and that's why I said I really doubt I'm going to talk about him again, unless some sort of big thing happens. But you can't deny that there has to be a balance. There has to be some respect for what he's accomplished, where he's gotten on Cameo. There has to be it's a bit sad he's gotten to that place on Cameo, but I think there's give and take. So this is kind of the finale for George Santos. I just want to say, we'll always remember him, and I think if I got a cameo from him on the show, I mean, I think that would be great. I hope that people would enjoy that. I mean, I'm thinking about over Christmas, because everyone spends a little on Christmas. Should I get a cameo from him and just play it at the beginning of the show? Would that be okay? I don't know. I think I need to check if that's legally. I think I've seen plenty of people post cameos. So would that even be legally possible? I don't know. But I think I'll look into it. If anyone even still cares about this by the end of Christmas, and I really doubt they will. I mean, people barely care about it now, yet I'm still talking about it. But I just want to say, congratulations to the House of Representatives for expelling its sixth member, and congratulations to George Santos for, I don't know, being one of the strongest debuts of a celebrity on Cameo. That's quite an accomplishment. And by quite an accomplishment, I mean it's a kind of a footnote in history, considering, like I said, who's on Cameo.